Rabbi Meir says Echad Zeh V'Echad Zeh Aser. Rabbi Meir says, for us, you're the expert.
Yeah,
but I think I'm wrong on that because I think they have a cornea bank. So.
And Rabbi Meir says this and this, both are forbidden. Because they change after they die. The Gemara asks them, they change. You think it changes? It's not a moment. It's a cut or something. It's not going to change after it dies. You can look at it. A blemish on the body is going to change. Because of those that change. Not that this one's going to change. But Rabbi Meir makes a decree because there are some that change, so he has a decree for all of them. Amar of Nachman bar Yitzchak. Going down a few generations here. It says, Masnisinami Dayaka. Our Mishnah is also precise. That we're dealing with blemishes on the body. That's the machlekes. Reb Meir Reimer, Hayel b'nishchat shleil pi mumcha aser. Reb Meir says, because it was slaughtered without being shown to an expert, it's forbidden. Obviously, it's not because it didn't have a mum. It's because it wasn't shown to the expert. Shmamina knasa kakanas Reb Meir. Shmamina. We're seeing clearly that it's a fine that Reb Meir is doing, and it's not because there was no mum, or it's not because you can't examine the mum anymore, because then it wouldn't be hayol v'nishchat shleil pi mumcha. That would be because you can't examine it, because things change. It's messed up now. Ibaylahu. Well, that's an interesting question. We said that the eye cannot be examined afterwards.
I just found the answer. It's from an Indian study, all right, in 2006, called Post-Mortem Ocular Changes, a study on autopsy cases in Bharakpur Hospital. Post-mortem eye changes are important evidence to assess post-mortem interval. Present study was conducted at this hospital of 150 autopsies. In 140 autopsy cases, usual post-mortem eye findings were dull cornea. So dull cornea might be what we're talking about, dilated fixed pupil and soft eye, so certainly it changes. And this is fundus findings like cattle truck appearance could be observed in 10 cases. I don't know what that means, but cattle truck appearance. But I mean, obviously things change. What?
Where'd you get that?
Google English.
No, you can use Google Scholar. So that, they have Google Scholar.
No, I didn't know.
Google Scholar sends you to all of those research papers that none of us know how to read.
Really?
All of those, how the study was done and all of that stuff. But you get to see the graphs, of the...
It's called Google Scholar?
Google Scholar, yeah. You get to all that's really the wild stuff. Okay.
He gets the worm.
Ibaylahu. The question now is, the eye, does it always change after it dies? They all change. Only some of them change, and that's why we can't examine it. Because we don't know, is this the one that changed? Maybe it changed, maybe it didn't change. Does it always change, or does it sometimes change? Either way, we can't decide that this animal is edible, is halachically permissible to eat, because it could be this is the one that changed and now it looks permanent and really it wasn't. The Gemara says, "Lamai nafkamina." What's the difference? It has to be forbidden anyway, because you don't know if this is the one that changed or didn't. The Gemara says, "Lachushi sadi." If we can invalidate witnesses because of this, if we know for a fact that it always changes, and there's witnesses that testify differently, then we'll say, okay, these witnesses are invalid. If we say that it always changes, so let's say we have an animal here that says, we look at it now and it looks like it has permanent damage in the eye. It looks like it's permanent, even though the animal's dead. Comes along the witnesses. We have to say this differently. The witnesses say that yes, it was permanent before it died as well. So therefore, it's permissible to eat. But we know that it always changes. So if we would say that sometimes it changes, we'll say, okay, the witnesses this time got it. It was permanent before, permanent afterwards. If we say not, if we say that it never changes, then we say, okay, these witnesses are liars. Because now it looks permanent, and before it switches afterwards. If it always changes. Okay, so what's the halacha? Tashema, come and listen. Amar Rabbi bar bar Chana. We have to add in Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Sachli Rabbi Yoshia de Menusha. Rabbi Yoshia de Menusha, I guess it means whispered to me, or told me. Ba va'arech bedukin shaba'ayin shehi mishtanim. Rabbi Yoshia de Menusha says, come, I'm going to show you that the dukin shaba'ayin change. He tells it to Rabbi Yochanan, or to Rabbi bar bar Chana if you drop the Shita Mekubetzes. Midaka Amar le ba va'arech. Because he says, come, I'm going to show you, it must mean that it doesn't always change. And he wanted to show him something when it does change. So sometimes it stays, so that this would be a proof that sometimes yes, sometimes no, and that's why Rabbi Yeshua de Menusha wants to show him how this is happening. Okay. Now that last case of the Mishnah, that interesting case of Mishain and Mumcha, someone that wasn't an expert, that looked at the mum, we need to, the animal is not, and he says that it's a mum, the amateur that decided this, and the animal is not valid to be slaughtered. And it was slaughtered anyway, so this fellow, this amateur, needs to pay for it. Leimatanan stomach Rav Meir. Maybe this is Stam Mishnah like Rav Meir. Why does he have to pay? Maybe we examine it now, let's check. The Gemara says, Dilma Bedukin Shabayin V'Divri Akol. Maybe it's that part that Rabbi Yehuda agrees to, which is the eye, which changes, and you can't examine it now. The only way to tell if the eye had this blemish would be while it was alive. And so it could be, it's not a Stam Mishnah like Rav Meir, maybe it's still a Machlekes Rav Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. You see, the Gemara's concern here is that I have a rule that when I have a Machlekes, Rabbi Yehuda and Rav Meir, the Allah is like Rabbi Yehuda. Then I have a Stam Mishnah right after the Machlekes. Stam, Machlekes v'yachakach Stam is the halacha kestam. Then the halacha would be like Rav Meir. So I have sort of conflicting rules here. The Gemara says maybe it's a Stam Mishnah like Rav Meir, and it's going to throw off our rule from before that if there's a Machlekes Rabbi Yehuda Rav Meir, the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda.
It says that
Halacha should follow Rav Meir.
Halacha follows Rav Meir with regards to rabbinic decrees.
Zero.
What does it mean?
It says, when I was talking about this with the expert, so it says this ruling is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Meir, as the halacha follows his opinion with regards to rabbinic decrees, gezeros from the Rabbanan.
That's so interesting. That's so interesting. So it could be what the Gemara is doing here is Leimatan on stomach Rav Meir, and then it says Dilma Bedukin Shavayim V'Divri Akol. That's just a doiche. That's the Gemara saying, well, you don't have proof that it's a Stam Mishnah because it could be. So that doesn't mean the Gemara really accepts that. The Gemara is just saying that you can't prove it. But really, in the end, they're paskening like Rav Meir. Or there could be, like he's saying, quoting from the Rambam, that you always go like Rav Meir if it's a Gzeir Derabanan. Okay. Tana was started in a brisa. We have a brisa that says that if the person has to pay for this because he made this amateur ruling, so if it's a small animal, he pays only a quarter, and if it's a larger animal, he pays half. My time, what's the reason for that? That he doesn't? He's paying a quarter and half. Amar of Papa zehaf sin meruba v'zehaf sin mu'at. You see, what would have happened? He's going to go to the expert. Instead of going to the expert, he goes to this fellow. The expert could have told him that that it's good, you can shecht it. Or the expert could have told him that you can't shecht it. If the expert told him that you can't shecht it, so then then the amateur really messed him up and he shechted it too early. But it also could be that the expert would have told him that you can't shecht it, and he would have had to wait. When he waits, it could be that he never would have gotten the mum, and would have died. So you can't say that automatically this guy messed it up, because we don't know the end of this. Maybe it didn't have a mum and it never would have gotten a mum. So there's other factors here that.
So you say you don't.
So you can't charge him. You can't charge him full price. You can't charge the amateur full price. The guy says, "You messed me up. I could have gone to the expert and I would have found out it's a mum. Now you told me to shecht it now. Now I'm totally lost." The guy says, "Look, you don't know what the expert would have told you anyway. Could be you would have lost it anyway. So because of that, it's half or a quarter."
Interesting.
The Gemara says, if that's the case, Yihachi from Seidel l'shalim. Why are you saying half or a quarter? If you think that that's half, the odds, you have to pay for half, then half. Why are you making it a difference in the animal, a quarter of the price or half of the price? That doesn't make sense.
You're saying depending on the size of the
It should be whatever the size of the animal is. So Amar Rav Huna bar Manayach Mishmeder Ravacha Barika Mishum Gzeres Megadli Behem Adaku Nagaba. There's a very interesting thing here. If it's a large animal, so when the guy tells him to shecht it, so he's really losing half the price. He doesn't have to do anything to raise the animal, and the guy made him lose. But could be it's not a loss. Okay, half. When it's a small animal, then he would have had to put effort in to raise the small animal. So it takes more effort. So therefore, when he told him to slaughter it, on one hand, he actually saved him that effort that he needed, even though he wasted the animal. But he saved him also that effort that he would have had to put in to raise the animal. So because of that, you then cut it in half again, because he didn't have to put in that effort in raising it. Rashi gives another pshat here.
It's harder to raise small animals.
Yeah, they need to take more care.
You ever raise a goat? Send me your goats.
You have to give, the bottle feeding and stuff.
Rashi gives one more pshat here, which he doesn't like. That there was a rule that you weren't allowed to raise small animals in Eretz Yisrael.
Yeah, we heard that.
So,
because they eat all the grass and the vegetables. They're too wild, hard to contain.
So because of that, there was a knas that over here that comes in that we only make him pay for half because he wasn't supposed to be raising it anyway. He doesn't get all this compensation, and Rashi doesn't.
The knas is on the kohen. Why
no,
is it the kohen's?
No, the owner that was raising it.
Ultimately, it's the kohen who suffers.
Wants to get. The owner that was raising it wants to get the compensation from the amateur. The amateur doesn't give the full compensation. The amateur doesn't give the full compensation because the owner wasn't supposed to be doing. So it could be that he has to actually pay the kohen anyway, but he doesn't get his compensation from there. Should we do the Mishnah? Yeah, we can do the Mishnah.
Very important Mishnah.
Yeah, Donas Adin. Someone judges, but he judges wrong. And Zika Sachayev, he vindicated the guilty, the Chiyav as the Zakai, and he made guilty the innocent. Timya Satar, he says that what was pure is really Tameh. Or V'tir Satame, he said that the Tameh, what's impure, is actually pure. Shemasa Asa Asay, Yishalmi Beisay. That's the rule, what he said. However, he has to go and pay for his mistake. So the judge himself has to go to the guy and pay the difference. It's his loss. However, if he was an expert, then he has insurance, and and he doesn't have to pay.
Basically, talk tells you about precedent. You can't go past precedent. Once it was done, a precedent,
Done.
boom. Right here, this Mishnah is probably the oldest concept of precedent.
Okay, let's leave it here. We have to go through the Gemara on this.
Is this the page we're supposed to be on?
Yeah, yeah.